The research proposal is an important step as you work on your final paper for our class, and so I wanted to show you a couple of good student samples that happen to be from my class last semester so that you can get an idea of what's required by this assignment, something more than just what I've described in the instructions. So there are two samples here for you to look at. Both are very good. One is a lot shorter than the other, and I want to point out that all of these lengths are completely acceptable. To me, how I interpret the difference in the length for each one is that the first student probably was not quite as far along in her research process as the second student was. You'll see the second student has a lot more detail, almost like an outline of her paper included in her research proposal. And if you're that far along, great, you can do that. And if you're not, that's okay too. This first one, I'm just going to walk you through quickly each one, and the file is posted in the module for Essay 4, so you can look over it at your leisure. But for the broad topic, for that one, you can just put one of the 5 topics that are listed on the assignment sheet for this paper number 4. The narrow topic is really where you start to get to work on your actual topic. You're going to try to select the smaller piece of the larger topic that you want to focus on in your essay. You can see this person chose overconsumption in the environment, and then she narrowed it down even further to ocean pollution. And you'll see when you see her working thesis section, she included 2, and I can't remember now which one she kind of landed on for her actual paper, but it's perfectly okay for you to propose 2 ideas for me. In my comments back to you, I'm going to give you some feedback about which one I think is better, not because of the writing necessarily, but because of how I think it might play out into an actual essay. But you can see she has 2, that's completely allowed. The significance section is really about your so what answer to the question. Why is this important to you? Why is it important to readers? You can see she has, 3 or 4 sentences here describing how she's thinking about that. She goes on to her research process, tells me about what she's found, what she's, just where she's at in the research process. That's what I'm looking for in this section. And then you'll see she has a very long section about asking me questions. I didn't call this out in your assignment as a separate section you needed, but if you would like to do it this way, that's okay. Anyway, by doing this, she's telling me I really need your feedback on these issues. And so when I responded to her, I made sure to answer all these questions, and we actually got into a little conversation about it in the comments. So we can do that by email, by just commenting the assignment, or you can even set up an appointment to talk to me. All right, on to the number 2. You'll see she has a very broad topic, electric cars. Again, she says she's still not sure about what exactly she wants to do. So she's got 3 ideas here, and you'll see she has 3 ideas. I'm scrolling through quickly. She has 3 ideas in her working thesis, and under each one she has bullet points, which are ideas about what she wants to talk about in her essay. If I remember correctly, I think she ended up talking about more than one of these ideas in her essay, just because that's how it seemed to make sense by the time she was done with all her research. But again, this one is a much more detailed proposal than the previous one. Her significance section is a little bit longer, but the previous example was perfectly acceptable also. And then you'll see she has a pretty long process section, and she kind of hit a question at the end of her process section. Please share with me any information that you know about electric cars, because I'll tell the class I read widely. I like to read the news. I like looking things up, so if you feel stuck on your research at all, it's perfectly okay for you to say, hey, I've looked. It's most helpful actually if you say, I've looked in this database and this one and identify them. And then I can tell me what search terms you used as well. And then I can tell you if you need to try a different approach with your searches, and I'll go look in the database as well and see if I can get better results for you. And then she only has 2 questions here, which are very specific. So I think that's a nice contrast to the first sample, because you can have very specific questions, you can have very general questions, you can have just help me on the research questions. So really, I'm being serious in this section. Ask me whatever you need to ask me, and I will do my best to answer it quickly so that you can keep working on this research paper. Okay, that's all I've got for you. Please let me know if you have any questions.